All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm sure that we'll still have a few more people jumping into the call, but I think we'll go ahead and get started because it is noon and I want to make sure that there's plenty of time for all of the good information that we're going to share with you today. So I'll start with introductions. I'm Christy Hernandez. I am the Learning and Organizational Development Division Leader in Human Resources. So I'm super happy to be here with you today for another HR Insights. If you've attended any of our other ones, I'm glad that you're joining us again. And actually, this topic came from some of your feedback. So from our past HR Insights, each time we do a feedback survey, we ask, what are some topics that you would like to hear about? And we had a number of people say that they were interested in hearing things about mental health. What do we have to support mental health, work-life balance, well-being, those types of things? So that was a topic that came up a number of times, and we actually have a lot of resources available to us. And so I wanted to respond to that feedback. And so we invited a number of people to join us today. We have Melissa Zahorik, who is in HR. She's part of our benefits team, and I'm going to have them all introduce themselves in a minute. We invited Dani Fischer from the health department, and then we have Caitlin Wilson from Continuum, who is our EAP provider, our employee assistance provider. And so with this great crew, we're going to get a lot of good information today. Before I turn it over to them for introductions, I do want to invite you to open up your chat panel because we will be using chat. We'll be using some polls, but let's get started with chat and just get you all involved a little bit. So let us know in chat your name, your department, and then I would also like to hear from you. What are you doing to cool off in this heat? This is kind of crazy heat, humidity. So what are your tricks? What did you do over the long weekend? And what are you doing to cool off? So let us know in chat. Let's just get started while we have a few more people joining. Add your ideas to chat. And then in just a moment, I'm going to turn it over to our guests and have them introduce themselves as well. All right. Thanks, Leanne, for getting us started. So we've got some libraries. Oh, hanging out in the AC. Yep, that's definitely my go-to. If I could have an AC just like in every window of the house, that would be ideal for me.
Yeah,
All right.
I've definitely been staying inside a lot.
Yeah, that's kind of the go-to.
Cold water.
Cool water.
Watching the Indiana Fever. Okay. Love it. All right. So just keep those ideas coming. And meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our guests to introduce themselves. We're going to start with Melissa. Melissa, if you want to join and just kind of give a little bit of background, and then we'll go to Dani, and then Caitlin will take it away.
Sure. Melissa Zahorik, and I am in HR, the benefits manager. I'm kind of a backseat in this one here. I've got our great wellness coordinator, our EAP, that are taking this on, but really excited just to have these lunch and learns. And we've got another Blue Cross Blue Shield coming up here in a couple months. And so we're just glad everybody's coming and learning about all the resources that we have. My go-to is I keep my air conditioning at 68 degrees in my house. So I'd rather have a blanket on and be cold than to be hot. So
Same.
That's mine.
Same. I'm with you. All right, Dani.
My name is Dani Fischer, and I am the Employee Wellness Coordinator for the city and county employees. I'm currently very pregnant, so whenever my 2-year-old wants to go play in the water, we're out in the cold water. That's my go-to right now.
Nice. Love it. Thanks, Dani. All right, Caitlin, over to you.
Hi, thanks for being here, everyone. I'm Caitlin Wilson. As Christy said, I'm from Continuum, and we're your EAP provider. And I have been drinking cold drinks. I've got my water filled up, and then I'm putting my hair up when I can to try to stay cool. But similar to Melissa, I will still sometimes grab a blanket, even if I'm slightly chilled. And so that has happened in the month of July still, but I'll take it. I'm glad you all have great ways of staying cool yourself. The heat can also increase our stress, our agitation. So that might actually be a perfect intro for us. Are you feeling a little more on edge maybe in these summer months? And if so, hopefully we'll give you some great information today that you can take with you, put into practice. I'm going to give you some signs and symptoms, awareness, and then Danny's going to talk about a great app that you have access to. So I'm going to see if I can move my slide. And I do lose my chat box, Christy, when I'm on my slide. So if there's something on the chat box that I need to be aware of, if you'll let me know, that will be great.
Will do.
All right, so a little bit about just giving you kind of the roadmap for my part of it today, and Danny's as well there at the end. We're going to talk specifically about services that Continuum offers you. I'm going to go into signs and symptoms of stress. I'm going to ask you to share a little bit about yourself. Don't worry, nothing too personal or vulnerable, but I just want to know a little bit about what you're noticing or what you have interest in. And then I'm going to give you the ABCs of prevention and practice for you. One of the things that I look for when I go to a training is I really want things that I can take away with me to put into place. Information's great, history's good. Where did we come from to get here? I'm really big on awareness too and education, but I want you to be able to take something with you. So as we go along today too, if something sparks your thought of, what about this, or this is something I do, please put that in the chat as well, because I also love to learn from the people that I'm providing a training to. And then we will include resources that you have available. So Continuum has been partnering with the city and Lancaster County for over 47 years. We've been around for 51 years. So that's an exciting partnership that we have had for the vast majority of the time that Continuum has been around. We are very happy to be working with you and providing support for you. And this is just another way for us to be able to say thank you for that. So we've got a poll just to see how aware you are about services that Continuum offers. So Christy's going to launch the poll, and I've listed some services there, and I want you to identify which area we do not provide coverage for, or we do not offer support for.
Okay, here it goes. So you should all have the poll in front of you. Select what you think is the answer and submit. Okay, so we've got 19 responses so far and 100%, 23 responses. 100% of the people are saying employment law. So all areas except employment law.
That is absolutely correct. Good job, guys. So the city and county, excuse me, the city and county are providing this service for you, but they are not going to provide it for you to talk about employment law. But as you will see, we cover so many other areas of interest or concern. So I've got my slide coming up here next. All the things that were in the poll, everything that's listed here. So what I would encourage you to do is think about, it's maybe all the hats that you wear. We are a busy people. We're employers, employees, we might be managers, we might be partners, we might have a spouse or partner, we might have a child, we might be taking care of our children. Maybe we're exploring our relationship with finances or alcohol. Maybe we're concerned about a loved one's substance use. Maybe there's some legal questions that we've got. Communication is in every day and every relationship. I'm also one of the counselors here, and every person that I work with, we talk about relationships, we talk about communication, whether it's personal or professional. And stress is always mixed in there. That's kind of become part of some people's baseline. Like I'm always stressed. Is it just more stress or is it my regular stress? And then grief services as well, whether that's a death, whether it's a loss, whether it's a dream that you realize will not be happening, that can look differently depending on the person and the situation. But all these and so much more, if you have a question, if you have a concern, if you need support, Continuum is here to help you with that through the various areas of service that we provide that I'm going to go through. So I just want you to realize there's the only one exception, that's employment law, but otherwise the door is open. So I hope that you will consider us and that you will reach out to us. So who is eligible for all of these services that I'm going to review and covering all those areas of concern that we just talked about? So you, as the employees, of course, are covered, but as well as your partners, significant others, and dependent children. So if they're in that immediate circle for you, they can access these services. They can come in with you. We do couples counseling, we do family counseling, and if they're a legal adult, they can also come in on their own as well. So if you've got a spouse that is struggling or has some questions, they can reach out. We'll just ask a little bit of information about you as the employer, but otherwise they're able to access all of these services. How much is this going to cost you? That can be a barrier for some people, or they're just not quite sure. And so I want you to know that your employer is covering this 100%. So that's another thing for you to remember. You know, the city and the county, as part of wellness, as part of taking care of you, they are footing the bill. So you will never receive a bill from us, neither will your family members. It's already paid for, so it's out there, it's free for you to use. Another barrier that can come up for some people is who's going to know if I reach out to Continuum? You know, you may not want your employer to know, you don't want other people to know, and we completely understand that. And so I want you to be filled with confidence that we follow confidentiality to the full extent of the law. The only exceptions are related to immediate safety. Now, the city and county want to know if these services that they're paying for are being used, and they get data points. You know, they just get, 3, 5, 47, nothing that will come back that will say, oh, Caitlin reached out and used the legal service. So I do want you to know that. And I know when I meet with my clients for the first time, I review that with them as well. You know, this is completely paid for by your employer, but it's completely confidential from your employer as well. So I'm going to give you a brief review of the services, just so you see here with counseling, legal, financial, and wellness. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with HelpNet because this ties everything together. It's a great support for all of these areas of coverage that we have. And it's an awesome resource that you have access to. So HelpNet is our online resource center, our online database. And your username and your password is right there, just depending on if your employer is the city of Lincoln or if it's Lancaster County. And the password for everyone initially is 7636. And when you log on to the website, you'll see that 800 phone number right below the login. So you forget, that's the last 4 digits of that phone number. That's what's helped me. You will access.
Oh, I'm sorry. We do have a question. So if you want to continue on, let me know when you want it.
Oh, what's the question?
Okay, as far as payment goes, is there a certain number of sessions or visits before payment is needed from an employee?
So you, as an employee, you will never pay Continuum for our services. So I will get into the counseling model. You will have the ability with certain other services that there may be a cost to it. I'll dive into all of this as we move forward. But as far as paying Continuum, an employee will never pay Continuum.
Okay.
Great question. Thank you. So you can access HelpNet by going to our website. There'll be a member login in the top right corner of the website, and then that's when you'll put in city or you'll put in county and then the password. If you forget any of that, there's a little chat box that pops up. You can go in and say, hey, what's my HelpNet password or username? They'll ask you who you work for, and then they'll be able to provide that information for you. But we cover all areas that Continuum provides resources for. And I think this can be a great first step for someone if you're not sure if you need to talk to someone or if you're ready to, but maybe you have some questions or maybe you want to explore, do I have anxiety? We have a brief assessment that's on there that you can take to see how many symptoms in the category of anxiety are you experiencing. There's also strategies that are listed on there as well. If you want to explore trying to get yourself out of debt, we've got financial calculators on HelpNet. There's thousands of free and fillable legal articles or legal forms on HelpNet that you can have access to. So that's going to save you money as well. There's also information and training modules related to professional growth and development too. So if you're a new manager and you want to work on your managerial skills and communication and how to have positivity in your team, HelpNet can be a great place to work on that too. If you get on HelpNet and you've taken some assessments or you've looked at some videos and you go, know what, I still need to talk to a professional in whatever area that this is related to, then I think you might feel more comfortable or maybe more confident in reaching out to say, I've done this work on my own, but now I am ready to talk to someone about it. So this is what that homepage for HelpNet looks like. We updated it a few years ago with our 50th anniversary. It has an overview right there for you as well, so you can click on each of those boxes and read about it. But then you'll see if you scroll down below, all the different areas and so much information that's listed there for you. I took a bit of a screenshot here just to give you an idea of what our trainings look like. And as you can see, they all expand, but it covers finances, health and wellness, personal development, and professional development. There's things on here that I would have not even thought about needing. There's a bill of sale for a dog or a boat. There's lots of information related to civil law or criminal, working on your relationship with finances. So this is really just a great resource that you have. So I do like to highlight it. And what I found is when I start with HelpNet, then it kind of helps as we go through the rest of the face-to-face services, if you will, as a reminder of, hey, this is also something you can utilize. All right, so let's get into counseling and problem solving. So Continuum offers short-term counseling services, and that's not limited to per year. It's really just kind of working with your clinician. You have a handful of sessions that you can meet with them per issue. And we'll give you, because we're short term, we know we want to make the most of our time together. So we're going to work on problem solving, giving you coping skills, giving you action steps, connecting you with other resources in the community if needed. And then we're also assessing if longer term counseling is needed. And I tell people longer term just means longer than what I can provide. It doesn't mean lifelong. It doesn't mean years long. It's just longer than what I'm able to do. All of our in-house clinicians at Continuum are only short-term, so you will not be able to continue with any of us, and that's where there will not be any additional payment from you. If you need longer-term counseling, we work with providers in our community that we can get you referred to. And the nice thing about that is after we've met with you for a couple of sessions, we kind of get to know you a little bit and what your concerns are and your personality. We can provide you with a really good referral of someone that we think will be a great fit for you as an individual, which is one of the fun parts about my job. I love being able to get someone started in counseling and then say, hey, I think this one's going to be a great fit for you based on our work together. Anyone can Google mental health counselors in Lincoln, and there are a lot of them, but we want to be able to take that off your plate so you don't have to sort through. It's really important to find a good fit and a good connection with your therapist, and so we can help reduce some of the trial and error by utilizing the people that we've worked with. We do follow-ups with all of our cases. So if we refer you to somebody in the community, we're going to follow up with you and say, did you meet with them? How was it? Was it a good fit? So we know if, hey, this is a great provider to keep utilizing and referring people to. That also helps us kind of build our confidence in who we are doing what we call a warm transfer and referring you to and getting you personally connected to that person. If you don't get a referral for longer term counseling because you feel like you've got strategies, you're feeling better about things, you're able to move forward, we'll still do a follow-up with you. I often find when I do that, people are either, yep, I'm doing well, thanks for reaching out, or, I was just thinking about you, I needed to call and get back in your office. And then we can talk about what our next steps are with that. We can provide counseling services in our office here in Lincoln. If you were outside of Lincoln, we can talk to you about options that we have for that as well. We do HIPAA compliant video counseling, so we can do virtual counseling, and then we can do telephone problem solving as well. Sometimes you don't need a counseling appointment. You're just like, hey, I just need to talk to someone, kind of sort this through right now. We'll get you connected with a counselor so you're able to do that. Any questions, Christy, that have come in related to counseling?
Well, I think now if you answered this and I missed it, I apologize, but I think there's still a little bit of a question around what is the number of sessions somebody could have before it starts to get into that, okay, it sounds like you'll need a longer term type of situation.
So that's something that you and your counselor will talk about because some of it depends on what the needs are, what the concerns are, and what's most appropriate. We definitely work with people more than once because we want to be able to build that relationship and be able to provide you some use of services. We don't just automatically make a referral.
Okay.
So it's great if you have questions about that, talk with your clinician as you move forward because they'll have a better idea, kind of that case by case on what that looks like.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Oh, okay, just a minute. So what if you've been referred to a therapist and are already receiving professional support? Is there a way to be referred to this provider through Continuum to use the benefit, or is that not an option?
That can be kind of a gray area. I don't have all the answers for that, but I would recommend giving us a call and we can sort through what the needs are with that.
Okay. Okay. All right, that's it for right now in chat.
Thanks. All right, so moving on to our legal services. So I talked about HelpNet, where you have those articles, those free fillable legal forms for you. Some of them will ask you what state you are working out of so that they make sure that everything also aligns with the legality of that state as well. If you need to speak with an attorney, or maybe you have questions and you want to talk with someone, you have access to a free 30-minute legal consultation with an attorney that specializes in your area of need. So how you would access that is you would give Continuum a call. We'll ask you what's your legal concern, just very brief, so that we know who we can get you set up with. We work with a company called CLC, and they are the ones that work with the network of attorneys, and then they will get you connected to that attorney. You are under no obligation to continue working with that attorney if all you need is that free 30-minute consultation. However, should you decide that you want to move forward with that attorney, that is where a cost would come in. It would go to that attorney, but it would be at a 25% discounted rate. So there's still some cost savings there, excuse me, if that is something that you would want to pursue. Again, you would not be paying Continuum for that. Our legal services that we cover are completely free, and that would be that consultation. And similar to a referral for counseling, if you speak with your attorney and they aren't meeting your needs, answering your questions in that way, please give us a call back, and we'll be able to sort through and then get you connected. So one of the things too about Continuum, if you haven't reached out to us before, we're going to do everything we can to get you set up with a contact or resources and services that are going to be helpful for you. We're not just going to say no, with the exception of employment law. But in other ways, if we are not directly providing that service for you, we're still going to do the footwork to try to help you out to get you the needs to get your needs met. For our financial services, so in addition to what you can find online at HelpNet for financial calculators, articles, resources, we also have certified financial social workers on our Lincoln staff. And so maybe you're identifying that it's your relationship with money that you need to work on. Maybe it's in your actual relationship. Everything else is going well, but you continue to fight about money. Maybe one of you is a saver, one of you is a spender. You can work with our financial social workers with the finance as the area of concern or the main focus. They'll get you set up on an action plan. They'll help you work through some barriers, give you some strategies with that, and do those follow-ups with you as well. If you need a higher level of a financial consultation, such as working with a money coach, certified financial planner, or other professional, we contract with a company that will get you connected to the appropriate resource for you. With them, you will have two free 30-minute phone sessions. And then should you decide to continue working with them, you're under no obligation. That would be at your choice. And then there would be a cost that you would pay to that coach or CPA or whoever it is that you're working for. But again, you don't have to take that step if you don't need to. Our work life and wellness services. So we have wellness programming. We work with wellness coaches. And so you can have 3 or 4 meetings with those wellness coaches if that's the main source of your goals and what you're wanting to work on. There's lots of great resources on HelpNet related to wellness, including coping strategies. There's recipes, just giving you more information to provide you with support. And then organizationally, we provide training services, including lunch and learns and our pocket campaigns. We just had one the other month on habits, and then our next one will be coming up, I believe, in August. So how do you reach out, you or your loved one, to access all of these services? So you can give us a call at our local Lincoln number. I've also included the 800 number on there for you as well with that HelpNet password there, 7636. You can email us at EA Specialist. Get on our website, which you'll see the web page there. There's that little chat box that pops up. You can chat with us. And then I would encourage you all to download the app, which is under Continuum EAP. And then you'll have everything at your hands, in your pocket, at your fingertips. All of our online resources, you can request services through the app. And then you can also speak with someone if you need to about getting those services set up. And this is on our contact information, phone number and email website is on all of our publicity that you receive from us as well. All right, so let's transition into the reset button. Unless Christy, were there any final questions about the overview and services?
No more questions in chat at this point.
Thank you. Okay, and then I think, is this our poll?
Okay, let me launch the poll.
Perfect. So I'm just curious, with the people that are here today, what are some areas that you feel like you would like a reset for? You know, are we talking about anxiety? Is it stress, work, or worry, work-life balance? Moving forward after a setback? Maybe it's something else, but you know, of those, what are we looking at? What are we feeling?
Okay, so this is an anonymous poll. Go ahead and make your selections. Looks like we've had 18 responses so far. Still have a few coming in.
Perfect.
So I don't know, Caitlin, are you able to see that now in chat? Can you see the?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
All right, looks like stressed. Yeah, it's a pretty big umbrella. It's definitely something I think that can encapsulate a lot. And again, it's kind of become maybe part of some of our baseline. So thank you for sharing that. As we move forward, I want you to think about what's normal for you. How do you feel when you feel like yourself? What are your thoughts like? What does your body feel like? How do you react to adversity, obstacles? How are you in your relationships? Because if we know how we are typically for ourselves, we're more likely to recognize when something has changed. If you're not sure what's typical for you, that might be a great time to reach out to Continuum to say, you know, this is something that I would like to explore and work on. But I'm going to give you some things that you might want to be aware of that could be signs of stress, anxiety, impact. And speaking of impact, it's thinking about, what you're experiencing, your stress, your anxiety, your worry. Are you aware of how that's impacting you? Now, you don't have to put that in the chat. It's just something that I want you to think about. Sometimes, unfortunately, when we kind of live at this level of on edge, stress, worry, running kind of on empty, that becomes normalized for us. It's just kind of how we keep going day to day. And so we can kind of forget about what life used to look like, if you will, before then. And we might not recognize how it is having that impact. If you work on a team or those that are around you, are you noticing that impact? We do have a ripple effect in our attitude, our language, even if it's our body language. Maybe we're not saying anything, but is it our face? Is it, how we hold ourselves? Is it how we sit at the desk? Some of those nonverbals, our engagement. Certainly not saying you need to be rose-colored glasses, smile on your face, everything is great, but having an awareness of how do I show up at work? How does that impact my team? How is that affecting my relationships? And is that how I want it to be? Again, we're not saying fit inside this box of how you should look and feel and communicate, but how do you want your relationships to look? How do you want to show up for your team? So a couple of common symptoms that we do see with stress, burnout, compassion, fatigue, thinking about those physical symptoms. So are you feeling fatigued? Are you struggling with sleep? Is that new for you? Maybe it's been ongoing, but maybe it's different. Your mind won't shut off. Are you having headaches or migraines? That can be from just physical tension in your body. Are you susceptible to illness? People can be more likely to catch the common cold or stay sick for longer when we're not processing our stress and what's going on in our life. And again, that muscle tension. What about your mood? Do you find that you're more often feeling irritable? Maybe you wouldn't say angry, but kind of on edge, a little grouchy, more consistently or more regularly. And sometimes we know maybe why, but sometimes we don't know why. What about an exaggerated sense of responsibility? I'm the only one that can get this done. I have so much going on, but I have to help this person, or I have to make sure I do this. Just putting a lot on your shoulders and a lot on your plate. Forgetfulness, when our mind is on so many different things, I say that it's kind of like, for me, it kind of like stretches out too thin and like nothing's really being captured because I'm thinking about too many things, and then it's hard to focus on even one thing. So then I forget things. So we drop the ball. We're not feeling fully present in the moment that we're in. Struggling to leave work at work as much as you can, home at home. There's going to be some overlap, but is that becoming harder for you to do? What do those boundaries typically look like for you? And has that gotten a little bit blurry for you? A change in your alcohol use, or a change or a starting of using drugs or substances? Do you need to keep going? Something else that I learned about recently too is maybe it's not alcohol or drugs, but are you hitting fast food up every day? Are you drinking more energy drinks? How's your coffee versus your water intake? Some of those other things that we're doing just to try to keep us going that maybe are having a negative impact on us. And then self-isolating. I know when my stress levels are high, I just want to be by myself. I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want that stimulation. I just need no one else's energy around me. And that's okay for a little bit, but when it's consistently something that you're going to, or it's affecting your relationships in that way, so you don't want to spend any time with anyone, that'd be a good time to look at that. Psychological symptoms. Are you having a lot of guilt? Do you have increased depression or new depression? Losing hope, which I think can go hand in hand with that cynicism. People say I'm a realist, which is great, and that you might be, but is that realism tending more towards the negative? And again, what's the overall impact that we're looking at the world through? This can really affect our worldview and our view of ourselves. And so that's where I'm hoping some of these things will help keeping you from getting to that place that's harder to come back from. anxiety, decreased ability to feel empathy, or hypervigilance. Again, that on edge, when's the next thing going to happen, kind of waiting or looking for it, that can take its toll. Things that we might see when you're feeling overly stressed or you've been stressed for a long time and then you're running on empty. Maybe you're sharing too much personal information with coworkers, or sharing information about coworkers, complaining about your agency or your workload, more than the typical venting. I know that we vent, we talk about things with those that are closest to us, but is it going on longer than normal? Are you sharing it more than normal? Are people commenting on it? Are you feeling less committed to your work? And is that no longer aligning with your values? How are you comparing yourself to other team members or other departments? Are you upstaging them or trying to minimize things in that comparison piece? Checking in again on your boundaries. Some of these are also areas of like what's normal for you and how much you share, what you talk about, what you focus on, and when is that kind of becoming blurry? Because I think our walls can be a little bit lowered when we're dealing with so much stress and feeling burnt out that we're not as aware, or we just don't care as much about those boundaries that typically are important to us. So let's get some prevention steps on board. Talk a lot about prevention for physical health, right? Wash your hands, soap and water, 20 seconds. That really obviously became something we talked about a lot during the COVID years. But I think we also want to be very aware of what are some prevention steps we can take related to our mental health. And even if you already feel like, hey, Caitlin, I'm already experiencing these things, I'm not in the prevention area, these are still going to be some things that are helpful for you. But if you don't feel like you're having those symptoms, I still want you to pay attention to this and hopefully find some things that you can put into place. And if you're doing these things already, then good for you. Keep it up, and maybe there'll be one or two things that you want to add into it. So these are the ABCs of prevention. So that A is active awareness. Like I talked about, how are you feeling? What's normal or typical for you? And has that changed? And then I want you to think about who, what, where, how are you spending your time? And what are those drainers, those energy drainers, versus what are those boosters? We feel good when we talk with that person, when we do that activity, when we're in that situation. Now, we don't have 100% control over the who, what, where, when of our lives, but I do want you to think about, where do you have control? And what if you spent more time, chose to spend more time with those boosters? How might that help you feel more balanced? And really paying attention to that control piece. Some of that's acceptance of what's out of our control. Acceptance doesn't mean approval, but it's just acknowledging I don't get to choose every person that I work with. I don't get to choose every aspect about my job, just like I don't get to choose how the weather is, but I can accept it, and then I can take those moments of joy or take that step. As Christy said, it's hot. What are we doing to cool ourselves off? That's a choice. That's something that we can be intentional about. Sometimes when we're feeling really stressed, I think we can lose sight of or we can lose our perspective on what's truly in our control and where our choices are. So I want to try to help you in recognizing that. And if that's really hard for you, reach out to us. At Continuum, we can definitely help you identify those things. And then let's get some balancing behaviors on board. What's going to help you find that work-life balance, help close yourself out from one situation and move into the next so that you can be more present. Do you need a transition ritual between work and home, or between home and work? Is that going to help you close out your day a little bit? So when you show up for family or friends or pets or whomever it is, you're more like yourself in your personal life. You're able to focus and be there with them so that you're getting that benefit of your support system when you're around them. Practicing your strong self-care. Our basic needs are very important. So are you eating whole foods? Are you drinking water? Get some sort of movement in your day. And then have good sleep hygiene. Have a good nighttime routine to help develop your ability to have a better night's sleep. Or let's talk about some resources that you might need to help with that. When our basic needs are better met, it's going to help us as we move up the hierarchy of needs, and it's going to help us be more present, focused, energetic for our work, our family, our friends, and ourselves as well. You can do mini escapes. You can practice mindfulness for even 1 minute if you need to. That's just being in the moment, in the here and now, what's around you and taking it all in. Or it could be a visual exercise where you think about what's that place that I love to go to, either in real life or in my mind, that I feel calm and I feel relaxed. And think about what your senses would be like in there. It gives your brain something to focus on that's going to be positive or help you find some calm, which is then going to help your body to be able to relax in that moment. And then just being proactive. What are things that you look forward to do that are relaxing to you that can help you manage your stress? And if you need help with that, let's look into some resources. There's a lot of great tools out there. There's a lot of great coping skills that can help you manage it. It's not going to move it away 100%. I'm not going to set an unrealistic expectation, but we can definitely help you get to a better place with that. And then C is close connections. We need that social support, whatever that looks like for you. It's not about a number, but it's about the connection and the quality of that. Let others help you. If that's at work, if that's at home, accept if someone's offering to help you, delegate tasks when you can. Remember that you're part of a team, whether that's your work team or your department or your family team. Reach out to your supervisors if you have questions or concerns or you need clarity. As I put down at the bottom, communication leads to clarity, and a lot of stress can come from assumptions or unclear instructions or intentions. And so let's just talk about those more. Let's reduce that. That's what's in our control. I can say, Christy, when this came up earlier, can you just kind of help me understand this a little bit so that we can both move forward in the knowledge of, what the decision was or what we're talking about. And then utilizing that personal support system. So I want you to think about what it is that you need, write it down for yourself. Think about those different areas of your life. Is it areas that you are struggling with? What do you need help with there? What might that look like if things were better? If you're doing pretty good, but you feel like you just might need a little bit of a boost, or there was something there that you wanted to work on, take the time to do that and be really intentional. Reach out for the support and help that you have available to you. I did want to include another resource, not through Continuum, but in looking at self-care and self-compassion. Dr. Kristen Neff has this great website that you can look into. There's a self-compassion test. There's resources, breaks, exercises on that. I think many of us, I won't say everyone, many of us could do a better job of being kinder to ourselves. Often with our self-talk, we're a little bit harsher with ourselves than we would be with other people. And that can take its toll too. And again, when we're feeling stressed, those walls, as I said, can be a little bit lower. And some of that negative self-talk can come in a little bit more or a little bit louder. And so this can be a great resource for you if that's something you're struggling with. As Benjamin Franklin said, invest in yourself. It pays the best interest. We have ourselves for the entirety of our lives. So take care of you, just like I'm sure you take care of people in your life that you love and care for. Put that same energy back into yourself. All right, any questions?
That was a lot of good information, Caitlin. Thank you. As we're waiting to see if any questions come in, I did find the website that you mentioned, and I popped that in chat if anyone wants to click on that. We don't have any questions here right now. So folks, feel free to go ahead and, enter questions in if they come up for you as we continue forward in the rest of our Lunch and Learn.
Thank you.
Okay, Dani, we're ready to turn our attention to you and Credible Mind, right? You're gonna introduce us or remind us about that resource.
Yes, thank you, Christy. So some of you, this might be a reminder. Some of you, this might be a new resource. I'm going to go ahead and put the link in the chat. So if you want to follow along as we go through this, you can. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to show you first a couple ways that you can access Credible Mind. This is a mental well-being platform that the health department, CHI, and Bryan Health rolled out to their employees earlier this year. And eventually it will be going to the public. So that will be this will be a great resource for anyone that you know as well as yourself. So let's go ahead. I'm going to show you, first of all, how to get there. And one of the best ways you can get there is through the wellness portal. So if you are on the city or county intranet page, the best way to find the wellness portal is to type in wellness portal and it'll pop right up. So you just click that. And if you scroll down, you'll see how you can access Continuum EAP. So if you click on that, it'll take you to the actual website. And then if you need help with logging on, down here at the bottom, whether you're a city or county employee, it'll pop up here. And that's how you access a document that shows how you can get logged on to Continuum. But if you see this little Credible Minds logo here, you'll just click on that. And hopefully you can all see that, but we're going to just go through this and please let me know if you have any questions. So as I mentioned, this was a partnership between the health department, Bryan Health, and CHI. It's a mental well-being platform. It's completely free for you to use as an employee. You can also, give the resources to family members, friends if you need it. But there are hundreds of resources on here. So we're going to go through and break each of these down here in a minute. So one way you can do it is if you just need additional support in a certain area, you can find the topic on here. Otherwise, another thing that you can do is create an account. And the account is a great way for you to track your progress, especially if you are doing some of the assessments, which we will go over here in a minute. None of this data gets back to anyone from the city or county, so it's completely confidential. So we can't see what assessments you're taking or anything like that. So don't worry about that. There's no cost to it. Very similar to Continuum. We might get data saying these are how many employees use the site, but it's not showing who is using it for what. So let's go ahead and start off with the topic section. There's hundreds of topics. So if you click on the topics, you can find some of the most popular topics from anxiety, stress, depression, workplace wellness, meaning and purpose, romantic relationships, sleep. So there's a lot of topics on here. If you don't see a topic that you are looking for, you can search for a topic here. But they have a lot of great resources. So if we were to just click on anxiety, and if you scroll down here, it has a lot of articles, different podcasts you can listen to, lots of great resources dealing with anxiety. So that's just to kind of give you a little sneak peek. They have stuff on physical exercise for panic disorder. So it really does break down each area of anxiety. So that's just one example. There are also assessments that you can take, which I think is a great place to start, especially if you're not really sure where you're standing with whether it's anxiety or depression. So they have quite a few assessments on here, and this is a great way to track your progress. So if you're on here doing assessments and getting information for anxiety or depression or whatever it may be, you can track your progress over time. So to give you an example, one assessment is, are your off days a sign of depression? Are your worry days a sign of anxiety? How's your sleep quality? Is your mental health flourishing? And then there's also a mental health check-in right here, which I think is awesome. It's always good to check in with yourself. So that is the assessments tab. So those are a great place to start. I think if you're going to use this resource, start with an assessment just in the topic area you're looking for. The Learning Lab, if we scroll down here, these are just different video and audio series. So you can learn more about the area you're interested in or struggling in. They have one on stress, resilience, relieving anxiety. So these are great ways to start as well. Introduction to therapy, if you're worried about starting therapy or just have some questions about it, that's a good place to start. And then sleep, breath work, workplace burnout. And then community resources. This is a great place to go, whether it's for you or a family member. These are local resources. Some of them are based on mental health. Some of them, we have different lifelines like the Suicide Prevention Lifeline. We have different counseling services, and these are all local services with their links to their website on here. So behavioral health, maybe you are experiencing in your family something with adult abuse or neglect, anything like that. And then there is also a need help now button. So if you or a family member is in a crisis and you need help immediately, these are all of the hotlines, text hotlines that you can get in the area. Anything from suicide prevention to eating disorder support. So we've got a lot of great resources on here, and I'll just scroll down a little bit so you can see abuse and neglect, addiction and substance use, LGBTQ+. We've got a lot of great resources here. So, and then some other ones would be insights. So these are just different articles that you can read through for additional information. And then for news, these are just maybe different studies that have been done. So yeah, these are all really great resources. Again, you don't necessarily have to create an account to use this. So if you're not comfortable creating an account, that's okay. You can go on here and just browse through information and not have to worry about an account. But it does log your progress and save certain resources that may be good for you, depending on what you're struggling with. Does anybody have any questions regarding Credible Mind?
There's nothing in chat right now, but we'll again just give people a minute if they want to pop something in. That is a super comprehensive site. I had I had kind of popped in there a couple of times, I think, when it first came out, but I really appreciate that tour because it's super robust.
It is, and it's a really great resource that I'm excited for the public to have access to as well, not just employees. So I think it's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, well, I don't see any questions here. So again, feel free if you if a question comes to mind as we finish things out, please feel free to pop those into chat. But meanwhile, I mean, I hope that you saw something here today that is going to be useful to you. I think we covered between Continuum and Credible Mind, there really are a lot of resources available for employees in our organizations. And so I would invite you to take advantage of those. Now, I am putting a link in chat to our feedback forms. So hopefully you're seeing the QR code. If you prefer to complete our feedback form using the QR code, you can do that. Otherwise, use the link that I just put into chat and let us know your feedback. Let us know if there are other topics that you would like us to either, go in a little bit more in depth, even around these topics, or just something different that you want to see in our HR Insights Lunch and Learns. While you're doing that, I'm going to move us forward into a little advertisement so you can see what we have next. So for HR Insights, we've got an August 13th session, Blue Cross Blue Shield. What is care management anyway? So that'll be another session with Melissa and Nicole Gross. And then in October, we have Work Comp 101, what happens after the injury. That'll be another session with our risk team, Sarah and Beth. And then, of course, we have a couple more Elevate Your Impact sessions this year with RJ Vega. September is Bridging Differences, and December is Communicating Effectively. So if you're not registered for those yet and you would like to be, you can find links to register on the training calendar on the intranet. So you can go to either the city or county HR intranet, click learning, click the yellow training calendar button, and register for any of these sessions that look good to you. So with that, I just want to say thank you again to Caitlin and Dani for joining us today. We really appreciate you taking the time. And any closing remarks from you both or Melissa?
I don't think so. Thank you for having me, and thank you for being here, everyone.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, everybody. It does look like we have one question. It says, have you tried to include Sue Eckley on the Work Comp 101 for the county side?
Yeah, that's a great call, Margaret. We will definitely do that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Christy.